I have a confession.
Tell me.
So, I mean, all business owners understand this, right? We get into business because we're like, I just want to help people in whatever form that is. And then what they don't tell you in that dreamland where you're like, I can do anything, is that anything also involves IT and HR and office maintenance. So I just replaced my toner cartridge and this printer, this guy right here,
Right.
for
Wait,
the first
how long
time.
had it been?
I think 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that I was only at like 80% gray. And now I'm like, dang, this is crisp. This black is so black. This looks so good. So just a gentle reminder. Toner cartridges do not last forever. But inkjets.com, this is not an ad. I'm just plugging them because they shipped real fast and it was way cheaper than Staples. So replace your toner cartridges,
Yeah,
people.
totally. Replace your toner cartridges. I can't believe yours lasted 3 years. I go through mine like probably every year, and I have an inkjet. I mean, I have a laser jet. Every year I go through mine pretty
Well, I don't.
consistently.
This is like just like a drum, I guess. So it's like it's not
Mine's like
inkjet.
a big cartridge. It's like this huge
Yeah,
cartridge that you
yeah.
have like, and you send it back to the company and like the whole thing.
Oh no, I'm just gonna drop it off at Staples. I
I
think.
send mine back. They send me like a little cardboard box to stick it in. So
I'm pretty sure.
it's
Well, I
fine.
definitely bought a generic. I also have
Oh, I always get mine from Brother. I love Brother.
inkjet.com sent me a bonus thing that I didn't order. So I might offer it up to you if it fits your printer because I literally have no use for it.
This is what business people sit around and talk about. This is the
Yeah.
exciting times of business owners. So if you're sitting there and listening and being like, what are these people talking about?
How
This
else are
is
you gonna
what
print
real
your
business
orders?
owners talk about.
How are you gonna print your orders if you don't have fresh ink ready to go?
Sexy ink toner talk is what it's all about here at Skinfessional today.
So then I
Yeah.
took the ink cartridge
Tell me
and then I
all,
opened the front
everything.
door and I just slid it right
Also,
in.
let me tell you a secret. If you ever have trouble where one of your wheels isn't moving, if you put
Tell
a
me
rubber band around it,
what?
it'll keep going. Yeah, I
Well, I
know.
mean, this is just also being super economical and also better for the environment because if
Yeah.
I had replaced this toner cartridge when my printer told me to, like I probably have printed 500 pages since then. And like what a waste. It had 500 pages left and it was trying to tell me that the toner was low. Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Mine literally will just stop printing. Mine's like, nope,
Well,
there's
that's
just
why I
nothing
finally had to
left,
replace
girl.
it.
You
I
can
got to
shake it
that
all
point.
you want. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
No, it was like, I'm gonna print, but I think this is gonna take me 45 minutes. So maybe I need a new. I mean, you be the judge. Maybe we need a new one. So, anyways, change your toner cartridge. You're welcome.
All right, people, you've heard it here. All right, let's get this party started. Hi, I'm Sybil Solon. I'm an esthetician and spa owner.
And hi, I'm Alex Ellis. I'm a body nerd and wellness expert, and we are business besties.
And bosses, running your own business, it's hard.
But we're terrible employees, so we're figuring it out.
I have clearly figured it all out, but we promise to share everything we know about what it takes to run a 6-figure business and get beyond that.
And be brutally honest about what works and what totally sucks, like ink cartridges.
A bunch of it totally sucks, but let's get started.
Welcome back to Skinfessional. On today's show, we are talking about why the way you talk to yourself matters. And
conscientiously shifting the words you use to change your mindset.
So tell me what you already told me about where this conversation came from. You were having a conversation with a consulting client and what happened?
So I was having a conversation with an amazing consulting client who totally knows that I'm going to be talking about her on the show. And she gave me permission. And she was discussing herself in ways that I was like, you need to stop talking to yourself like that. Like she was using the words like stupid and dumb and making bad decisions. And I was like, whoa, no, we don't use those terms. Come on, let's flip that around. If you're out there and you're listening and you're like, I think I might do that, this episode is for you.
Yeah,
because we've all done it. Alex, when I first met you, talk to me.
Well, I mean, I think even now, like, we'll have a conversation about something and I'm like here to hype you up and whatever. And then the same scenario will happen in my business. And it's just like, oh, fuck, you totally fucked up. That was so stupid. Like, why did you do that? And
We
I
do it
think
to
too, like,
ourselves.
a big thing to think about and something that I always try to remember and don't always do successfully is how do you talk to your clients, right? What are the
Yes.
ways? And like, I know you have some guidelines and some rules, if you will, about how you allow clients to talk about themselves in your spot, right?
Yes, yes. So I am a firm believer that my clients are not allowed to talk smack about themselves in my space. So if I
Mm-hmm.
catch them being like talking negatively about themselves in any way, so like if they say like, my wrinkles are bad or I have bad my bags, my dark circles, blah blah, you can say I'm working on my dark circles or
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to improve my blah blah blah. But you can't say like I hate this and I like this is ugly. Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
We just change the terms that you're using. And I'm very strict about how people talk about themselves because everyone in my studio is fucking beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
just as they are.
Mm-hmm.
We're just working on improving what you maybe are would like to change about yourself a little bit.
Yeah, and also because I know I have been the client coming in like, okay, Sybil, so listen, I tried this new conditioner and it totally broke me out. And have you ever said to me like, well, that was fucking dumb? You have not. Okay,
Well,
I'll answer that for you. You have not.
no, I'll just be like, well, you might have made it, you potentially could have made a different choice.
Right, right. So this is what I'm saying too is like, when we talk to clients, they come at us with stuff and we are so kind and compassionate in our word choice and really understanding that, it takes people multiple tries to like get things
Yeah,
going and we're going to trip up and like that's just a part of life. And then when we do the exact same thing in our own life,
you're
then
so
for some
mean.
reason it's like you're a fucking idiot and you should have known better and like how could you be so stupid? And I'm not preaching and saying like I've got it all figured out. I
Don't.
definitely don't, but it's just like just look at how you talk to your clients and how you talk to yourself or how you talk to your friends and how you talk to yourself. And if it is like night and day difference,
Yes.
we got a problem here.
Yeah, give yourself more grace for sure.
Yeah.
Because and I mean, I do it to myself. I've tried really hard over the years to catch myself. And is the one time, and everyone who listens to this show knows that I work very hard not to say no to clients. I try not to ever say no to clients. I will
Mhm.
back myself up. I will stop what I'm saying in mid sentence to be like, let me rephrase this. Hold on.
Mhm.
The only time I say no is when I have said something, I'm like, no, let me rephrase that. Or no, I'm going to say that differently because
Mhm.
that is the time I do want to say no.
Mhm.
And so if I catch myself saying something that is a negative or that I just didn't like how that came out, I'm really firm and I'm like, nope, no, I'm going to say this again. I want to say this differently because I catch myself. Like, I'll be like, well, that was fucking stupid. I'm like, no, I'm going to rephrase. I could have made a different choice.
Yes. And actually, that's something I learned from you. Like, I was like, oh, it's so stupid or whatever. And you were like, no, you just made a choice. And
Yep.
when we stop thinking of things as very like good or bad, and honestly, this applies not just to business, but like to food, to
Everything in
life,
life.
yeah, it's, I made a choice and I may not have been aware of a choice, right? If I wasn't thinking about it, maybe I make a better choice next time.
Yep.
Or I consciously made a decision, like I made the other night, to have 2 scoops of ice cream at 10 o'clock. I made that choice. And so the
Yeah.
next day, when I felt like shit, I
Yeah.
wasn't mad because I was like, I made that
I
choice.
made
And
that
next
choice.
time, I'm only gonna get 1 scoop of ice cream, not two. That's
Until you
okay.
decide not to again because you forget. Because
Yeah,
we're forgetful people.
it
But you
happens.
made the choice. At least you made the
Yeah.
conscientious choice that was a choice and it's okay.
And the ice cream was
And
bomb.
yeah, I'm going through some stuff right now, some personal stuff. And I had a friend like check me. She literally checked me. She's like, Sybil, if you tell yourself one more time that you're stupid, you made stupid choices. She's like, I'm going to be very mad at you because this is not like you. She's like, you made choices. You live by those choices. And now you're going to live by different ones. And that's okay. Do you regret anything you've done? And I'm like, no. She goes, then that's okay.
No, I think too, and like you've already said this, right? Of like giving yourself grace. I think
Yeah.
that, especially as business owners, I imagine so many of our listeners as well as are perfectionists and we are overachievers and we are doers, right? And
Yes.
so if we don't get it right the first time, there's a lot of negative self talk that comes on top of that because, like, well, you should
Mm,
have known better. You should have been perfect the first time.
right.
But giving yourself grace is allowing yourself this space to like make mistakes and to learn. And even
Yes.
in your anger and your frustration and your sadness and your grief, like whatever it might be, like you do get an opportunity to wallow 100%. Nobody says you have to be
Right.
perfect at this too,
Absolutely.
right? And that
No.
wallowing too may come back. That's also okay. What we're pitching here
Yeah.
is this idea that start to be mindful of it. So when you fall into those grooves, you are more able to then say, oh, I feel what's happening here. Let me make a different choice.
Absolutely. So my mom used to say something, and it's something I make sure that I say all the time. And it is, you make the decision that you make with the choice, with the like choice that you have now, not
Mm-hmm.
with the 2020 vision you have in the past.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it always made sense to me because like when we look back, we're like, I should have done this and I should have done that. Well, you didn't know those things then. You made the
Mm-mm.
best choice at the time when you had the choices that you had available with the information that you had.
Mm-hmm.
And so perfectionism is a silly idea that you're never gonna live up to.
No.
So make sure that you talk to yourself more kindly. How would somebody else talk to you about this situation?
Definitely not like that.
Right. And so when you're using words to yourself, the words that you use are important
Mm-hmm.
because they are the words that you're putting out to the universe. They are the words that are manifesting your life. And I know that there's sometimes people are like, manifestation is very woo-woo, but there is so much science about the words that we use, the
Mm-hmm.
things that we put out, and the energy we put out to things.
And how your brain
Science.
reacts to them. Yeah, 100%.
Science is backed by this. This is why like doctors are now in surgical centers are like, you're not allowed to talk smack about people when you're like doing surgery to people. You have to talk nice to them. You have to touch them at the end and they have better results.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Science, guys. So
Mm-hmm.
why wouldn't you make sure that you're doing that to yourself?
Yeah. Well,
Talk kindly.
and we talk about mindset a bunch of times. And the question might come up, well, like, well, what is mindset? Like, what does that actually mean? And to me, changing your mindset or having a different mindset or outlook involves not just like how you think, but how you think also comes from how you talk to yourself. Because listen,
Mhm.
we're all talking to ourselves. How you talk to other people.
Yes.
And again, like the choices of words that you make. So here's another example. As you all know, I've been on the journey to debt free of a lifetime. Okay.
Yes.
And you and I have been talking about this too. So I'm like, well, I'm real cheap. I'm real cheap. I'm real cheap. I say that all the time.
Alex and
And
I just had this conversation when I was out there last time and sitting down in LA. We just had this conversation.
so here's an example of how cheap I am. Okay. I like to wear cotton underwear at night when I sleep. And I had a pack that I bought that never fit from day one, didn't fit. Very uncomfortable, too small. I'd wake up and I have like seams indented onto the side of my thigh, like cut off circulate, like awful. Okay. Now, some people may say from day one, well, these don't fit. I should return them. But I was like, oh, but I washed them. And like now I'm committed and like, oh, but I have them. I don't want them to go to waste. And like, I can't really like afford to buy new ones. Like, I'm cheap, 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 cheap. And so I was
Okay,
like,
I'm gonna cut in 1 second. How much were these underwear?
oh, probably like $8. Okay.
Right. Okay. So we're gonna continue now. Not $100 underwear, by the way. $8 underwear. Okay, we're gonna continue on now.
Yeah, $8 for like 10 pair. Right. You're right. So I have changed the word choice, like when talking about things or when people like, talking to my mom about, I have this avocado oil. It's not my favorite, but I have to use it all. Well, see, even there, what I said, I'm
I know. I was
choosing
about to
to
catch you. I
use
was
it
like,
all
do
up
you?
because I am frugal and environmentally conscious. Okay. Being frugal isn't the same as being cheap, and using that different word has shifted how I think about things. So, as a frugal person, as I am, um, I went and I signed up for MeUndies. If you listen to podcasts, you've heard the commercials. We need to have one too. That new pair of underwear. I only get to wear it once, of course, before I have to wash again, like once every 2 weeks because I'm lazy. I don't do laundry. But when I slide that on, it is so worth it. Okay. So, word choice matters, and even on something like that. So, when it comes to business as well, we want to say, oh, you're so stupid, you made this choice, like whatever. I give myself the time to like wallow, and then I go, this is interesting that first of all, that's where my brain went. Like we can journal on that later. But number two, what can I learn from the situation? And I'm going to tell you, like I would my frugal ass would bet $1,000 that a situation in which you have a lesson to learn from came because you allowed a boundary to be crossed at the beginning.
Yes. Wise word from Alex. Very, very wise words. And it is the point of uncomfortableness
Yes.
where you feel uncomfortable and you get the sweats and you're like, I don't want to do this. And you start pushing back against it, that you know that you're in the right place.
Yeah.
That is when on your growth journey, you know that you are in the right place. And I know it's not fun. Like growing is hard. It's not, nobody's like, oh my God, growing is the easiest.
No, it's funny too when we're kids, we're like, I just want to grow up. And now as a grown up, I'm like, I just want things to like stay the same for like
But
a
if you
week.
think about it, growing up is hard then too. Like you have growing pains. Being a teenager sucks for a lot of the time. Like your friends are mean, right? You don't have to do it's awkward. So growing up is hard. Growing as an adult is also hard. Growing emotionally is hard. And so if you are finding a space where you're just like, ooh, that feels sticky and weird, and I don't know if I really like that, lean into it. Just move into that space. When I talked to you about your cheap talk, and you were like, but you went right into it because that's who you are, Alex.
Well, you know, I love a task to achieve and mark off.
I know, but you did. I was just like, maybe we should talk about that. I don't know. Let's just move into that a little bit.
Well,
so
go ahead.
Listen, guys, do it.
Yeah, I was going to add too, if you feel like the jump is too much, right? Because that's another thing. There's times I tried to manifest and self-talk my way out of debt. Y'all, it did not work. You know, so
she's like, I'm writing in my journal about it. Well, okay.
It's not working. So of course we're talking of pairing these things with like practical real world things and skills as well. But you know, here's another place of like negative self-talk. If you're like, what category should I start in? How about the conversations you have with yourself about your body?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good one.
So to go from I hate my body to my body's a beautiful vessel is a very big jump. And there may be some manifesting magicians who like, that's completely okay. That didn't work for me. That's not working for me. Right. So maybe finding some neutral middle ground where you can just hang out and chill. And I learned this from Kara Lowenthal of the Unfuck Your Brain podcast. Right.
Good one.
Going from like, you know, I hate the way my body looks to this is what a body looks like. This is what a stomach looks like. This is what my skin looks like. Period. Right? It's neutral. It doesn't have good, bad, or whatever. Get there. And then once you're there at that neutral landing point, then we can start to like increase things, you know, more towards a positive. But if you're really feeling like it's too much of a jump, then what's a safe middle space, right? That you can hang out and grow there.
Absolutely. And there's all kinds of things. So even if like your body is hard, like there's so many things that you can do this with. Find anything that feels sticky and tacky and uncomfortable. There, I mean, body's always a good one. There's always listen, we work in the beauty industry. There's always something that somebody hates. You know, my eyebrows, this part's drooping. I don't like my double chin. I think my ass isn't good. You know, I don't like one of my clients hates her elbows. I mean, there's always some crazy that I'm like, you hate your elbow. I didn't even know you could hate your elbows, but apparently we can hate our elbows. This is a thing. We hate our elbows these days. There's like fat elbow syndrome going on right now. So I don't know, right? Find the place for you find that thing, lean into it. And then also notice how you feel while in it, because I find that the best thing that helps when you're talking to somebody else as well is to have that empathy with you, is to carry that remembrance of how you felt while you were trying to grow. Keep that with you. Always remember what it was like when you were in that space. Hold on to that memory when you're talking to somebody else through that time, because when there's going to be a point where you're like, oh, it's easier for me, because it is. Once you've done it once, you can do it again and again, and it gets easier every time. But that first time, it's so hard. And so when you tell somebody else, you're like, hey, you know, it would be great if you talk to yourself nicer. Why don't we talk about this in a nicer way? Why don't we use these terms? And they'll look at you like you're like a double-headed monster. Right? And so just remember that, you know, give them a little space too. It was hard. It was hard the first time for you.
Oh, and like the 5th and 10th time too, you know, like
it was really hard that first time. It really was. And you might lose clients and you might lose friends, you know, and I mean, I've definitely lost a few clients because I just would not listen to them talk smack about themselves.
Yeah, well, and also though, if that's, the type of person that they're deciding to be, that's fine. But and like another boundary, right? And protecting the energy and
Yeah.
I I find it so challenging to work with people who are like super into dieting, for example. I keep talking about that
Yeah.
kind of stuff because it's super polarizing and charged. Um, I don't even I've said to people, if that's what you're looking for, I really don't think this is a good fit because for me to have that boundary crossed and then have to be constantly redirecting them, that's just like, it's work. That's energetic work. And mindset is the way you talk to yourself. It's the self care and how you respect your boundaries to make sure that you have what you need. The self care that you actually do for yourself, right? So you can show up energetically and be the person you want to be for yourself, for your family, for your clients. So all of that is to say is like the words you use to talk about yourself to yourself matter. And
Yes.
just pick a different word.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I hope everyone has learned something from this episode and that if you need to listen to it again, because I mean, it seems like it's a simple idea, but are actually very large concepts. The
Yes.
idea of talking about yourself in a conscientious manner and using the word conscientiously.
It's a
Like
big
it's
word. I
big.
like it.
Yeah, it's big. It's big. All right. Bring us home, Alex.
All right, so we want to hear how you are conscientiously choosing your words and how today's episode, like, what are you thinking? How have you made conscious word choice changes? We want to hear about it. So you can
We
find the
do.
show on Instagram. We are at Skinfessional. You can find Sybil at Skin Fitness Expert. You can find me at Hala Formala. You can call us on the Skinfessional box. What's that number?
That number is 818-473-5277.
And you can also leave us an email at
Oh my God.
skinfessionalpod@gmail.com. Skinfessional,
Oh
like
my
the
God.
show that you're listening to right now, pod@gmail.com.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Until next week.
Keep your secrets to yourself.
Unless you're telling us.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye.